All right, what is going on? All right, just click out of that. Hopefully there wasn't an echo there. I think I got a couple things mixed up in the tune or in the, in the queue. Again, I'm just trying to put together a few things that I find interesting, and some of the things I don't think are being very well covered out there. So we'll take a look together and see what y'all think. Drop some comments in the chat if you guys have any thoughts on it or anything that you want to focus in on a little bit more. But to get my chat view up and running here. All right. So first up, what are we talking about today? And if you're wondering who those three awesome looking bulls are, they are the men in red. I like to think of them as the NPC police. So if you see any NPCs out there, just give them a call. They'll take care of it for you. So three topics I'm looking at. Massive rocket attack on a United States base that just happened here recently. What's going on with that? Are people really kind of keyed into this activity that's going on? The second item that I've got is Kamala's VP pick. They've narrowed it down to two people now, and I think that it might be a bit of a short-sighted act on Kamala's part if she actually goes with either one of them. I don't think either one of them present a super good case for the Democrat side to win over voters that might be kind of on the edge, one side or the other, but nonetheless, there's two front runners out there, and they both have their flaws associated with them. So just a quick chat on that. And then the last one, the Secret Service director who just stepped down. Apparently, TMZ, New York Post, and honestly, only right-leaning news sources are publishing reports that she actively tried to destroy cocaine evidence that was found in the White House. How that came to light, I have no idea why other folks are ignoring it. I think that might be the bigger problem here. But let's go take a look at these things one at a time. If I don't freeze up here first. All right. So there was a massive rocket attack, as I mentioned earlier. It honestly is heightening concerns about safety of our troops in the Middle East, especially with all the escalating tensions that are happening out there. There's not too many details about it, but CNN mentioned that two of our service members were actually diagnosed with traumatic brain injuries. So we do have U.S. personnel that have been injured as part of that attack. The attack is being attributed to Iranian-backed militias. Of course, they have their proxies all around the Middle East, most notably in Yemen with the Houthis that have been attacking a lot of the commercial ships, passing by the peninsula. So damage is still being assessed. The Islamic resistance in Iraq claimed responsibility for it. And they said specifically that it was in retaliation to the presence of the United States in the region. Of course, this is one of the biggest attacks that Iran has done directly on U.S. troops in recent history. How we'll respond to this, I think, is an important question. You recall Obama had his thin red line in Syria that, of course, was crossed and no action was taken. So will action be taken directly against the proxies in the area? Will action be taken directly against Iran? Will it be military? Will it be economic? I mean, remember, the embargo has been lifted off of Iranian oil. And of course, that even if we were to look to impose something like that again, I don't know if it would be effective given that the dollar is no longer the basis under which oil will be traded around the world. There was a 50-year commitment that expired with the Saudis very recently. So CNN, Reuters, a lot of different outlets are reporting, similar things on this topic. Looking at Vice President Harris, though, I think she's got a pretty tall order. So the list has been it's been narrowed down to just a couple of folks, and it will have an impact on the election once either one of them is, and I think it would be the same reaction, that it'll be very underwhelming. So it's between two folks. One is the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, and the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. On the surface of it, so let's focus on Pennsylvania first. On the surface, you just see Pennsylvania as a swing state. Okay, they want to get somebody who is well known and possibly could sway that state in their direction. Keep in mind also, Kamala has had a history of anti-oil rhetoric and has pushed forward policies like the Green New Deal. She is somebody that has voted for it. She's pushed those policies that would ban fracking, which is a critical element of the oil and gas industry that's in that state. So a lot of jobs and a lot of people would have their livelihoods impacted by a Harris administration, even though more recently she's backed off on that a bit. Of course, it's pretty clear that that's a political move, and it's just to not offend the residents of Pennsylvania. So that action in itself, I don't think you can long-term count on that being the case, especially if you think Kamala can serve another 8 years. And this is just the continuation of the Biden administration, right? So there'd be 12 years of effectively the same mindset, policies, and perhaps even more far-reaching. The other thing that's of interest to note is that Josh Shapiro, he has a strong position and is a strong critic of Netanyahu in Israel. Presents kind of a interesting dilemma, right? Public opinion's kind of divided on his stance. Pro-Palestinian groups, they're critical of him, because of his social media posts and because of past writings. But of course, his positions now are pretty much aligned with mainstream Democrat Party. So if you look at that strong, with all the protests going around on college campuses, that strong Gen Z vote that they might be counting on, a lot of the protesters, a lot of that extreme left view, they won't be happy with, that selection at all. And recognizing that, it's another theme that's emerging from her campaign, that she's taking her voters for granted. Nobody's really voting for Kamala. They're voting against Trump. And so a pick like Shapiro kind of underscores that you're just trying to sway the electoral votes to come your way in Pennsylvania. You're trying to sway those voters to move in your direction. And it's not, there is no additive value or anything else from it. The consequence, though, that I don't think they're really looking into or understanding is that they're demotivating their base. So those folks that are just going to vote for you because they're voting against Trump, will they actually show up at the polls? You may have a couple of percentage points, or let's say it's even 0.5% of voters are demotivated that are part of her base. That can swing an election. When you talk about tens of millions of votes, 0.5% adds up, especially in these swing states that were decided, by just, a few thousand votes or tens of thousands of votes. I don't think that that's being recognized, and I think it is a real risk. A demotivated voter base, or they may opt for other options like Jill Stein, like RFK. So Shapiro is not exactly an ideal candidate given his divided stand, or how he's viewed within the Democrat Party and within the base. Tim Walz, on the other hand, he comes from perhaps one of the most liberal states in the country, in Minnesota. So it would almost be like having two folks from California running for office here at this point in time. This is not Reagan's California by any stretch, right? So he, of course, he has a solid background, right, in education. He's been a proponent on the economic side, looking at affordable housing, the things that people want to, would like to see out there. But his progressive agenda is pretty far left, especially when you look at his positions on climate change and social justice. It's almost like another extreme mirror image of Kamala, just in somebody who's an experienced governor and can kind of balance out the ticket. So when you look at those two, there's no real benefit to either of them, and those are the two that are being put out there. I don't think that she's doing herself any favors with either of those candidates. Maybe we'll be surprised at the convention and there'll be, another person altogether that comes forward. But, the media and the reports have been pretty accurate on narrowing down the list of individuals, like they did with J.D. Vance and Trump. And the last one, I hate to say it, TMZ's out in front on this one. There was, I don't even know where to begin with this one. It's again, the former Secret Service director is pretty much at the center of this controversy. And it involves the cocaine that was discovered in the White House. And so early reports are showing that she actually wanted to destroy the evidence after a partial DNA hit was found. And, the cocaine, of course, they said was found in a heavily trafficked area of the West Wing, and they attributed it to just, folks randomly moving in and out of the area, can't really associate it with any given individual because there's such a high traffic area. And, at this point, there's no conclusive evidence identifying the owner, but I think it's very suspicious now that it's coming out in TMZ, New York Post, a lot of other publications, that there was an active effort to actually destroy that evidence. And I mean, you think about the broader effort to cover things up and, keep this current administration, and the current one I'm talking about is focused on Biden, keeps the current one safe. It extends beyond just this point. I mean, how many people knew of Biden's condition and his decline, yet they, helped mask it from the public. This is kind of a theme for this administration, of hiding things from the public and just, working the system, leveraging the deep state to take care of these types of issues as they come up. Of course, in all of that, accusations of cover-ups and so forth, but not enough to bring anything to the floor or bring anything as far as a prosecution or a case forward. But just what else happened is what it makes me think of. What else happened behind the scenes with Secret Service, with any number of other folks that were involved as part of that White House. So those are the 3 items I'm looking at today. Just wanted to put a quick live stream out there. I'm going to go on to TikTok in a few minutes. Join me over there. We'll take some folks to, give everybody a little bit of time to speak their opinion and give their thoughts on some of the recent events that are happening, especially, focusing in on the election. Are you, going for Kamala and why? Or are you going for Trump and why? Just to get some differing opinions out there. Not trying to do anything that's like, like a gotcha to trip people up or what have you, but just want to have an open dialogue. Because, even in spite of all these things happening, I would like the political culture in the country to change. I would like us to find common ground and come together on certain elements. I mean, you look at, the things that are happening out there in terms of the instability that's in the world, the economic turmoil that we are clearly in now, around the world, markets selling off, our U.S. markets selling off. I mean, for a long time now, I've been giving warnings of it, but I guess it took McDonald's sales to start declining for people to take notice that, those price increases, inflation, increasing debt levels on Americans, all of that stuff is not going to be sustainable long term. But anyway, with that, I appreciate it, y'all. I'm heading over to TikTok here in just a few minutes. Look me up there. I'm Real Political Cow over here on YouTube as well, but just Political Cow on TikTok.